a film or tell a story. And so when you say these years and the amount of people that I've met.
Every single day, I bring you another story straight from Hollywood's golden age, the moments that built legends and broke hearts. If you love keeping these memories alive, hit that subscribe button. It's totally free, but it means the world. Now let's dive in. You've seen John Wick, you've survived The Matrix, so you already know Keanu Reeves, the calm, unstoppable force who turned into a global icon almost overnight. But fame didn't just earn him applause, it stirred up envy from every corner. Some actors couldn't handle his quiet confidence, they mocked his chill vibe, threw shade behind closed doors, and even went after the same roles just to push him out. Now, at 61, Keanu has finally opened up and dropped the truth about 6 Hollywood heavyweights he'll never forgive, and these names hit like a thunderclap. Alec Baldwin tops that list, and Keanu made it crystal clear he'll never share a set with him again. What makes it even crazier, their feud didn't spark from jealousy or competition for roles, it came from something far deeper and more personal. It all came down to something Keanu absolutely can't stand: public humiliation and reckless behavior that puts lives in danger. Their clash didn't start with a single explosion, but with quiet tension brewing back in the late 1990s when both were climbing fast in Hollywood. Even then, Baldwin's fiery temper was infamous. Producers were already walking on eggshells around him. Meanwhile, Keanu, known for his calm and grounded energy, saw Baldwin as everything an actor shouldn't be. Then came 2003. The year everything blew up. During a private industry roundtable, a director offered Baldwin some tough feedback, and that's when Baldwin lost it. He slammed his hand down, pointed around the room, and shouted, "Some of you don't even deserve to be in this room." The moment he locked eyes with Keanu, it cut deep. For someone like Keanu, that wasn't just disrespect, it was unforgettable. And it wasn't about bruised egos either, it was about respect. Years later, in a rare Japanese interview, Keanu said, "Once someone shows you contempt, you don't forget it." The industry instantly knew who he meant. Over time, Baldwin's scandals just got louder. Public blow-ups, legal trouble, on-set meltdowns, and finally the heartbreaking Rust tragedy. To Keanu, none of it was random, it was a pattern. Every headline proved what he had always believed: Baldwin's impulses weren't just bad behavior, they were dangerous. One producer even recalled Keanu quietly saying back in 2011, "Chaos isn't talent." That line hit Hollywood like a cold truth bomb. "Chaos destroys talent," Keanu said it once, and he meant it with every fiber of his being. From that moment on, every single attempt to cast him and Baldwin in the same project fell apart because Keanu flat out refused. No statements, no debates, no second chances. For over 15 years, the silence between them has been absolute. They don't greet each other at premieres, they don't appear in the same photo frame, and whenever they end up in the same room, both make sure there's space, plenty of it. But Baldwin wasn't the only one who crossed Keanu's line. Enter Shia LaBeouf, the actor who turned Keanu's respect into bitter disappointment. Keanu's frustration with Shia didn't simmer slowly, it struck in an instant. Because Shia broke a boundary Keanu treats as sacred, keeping the set professional and never turning work into a circus. Their first spark of tension hit in 2006 during a studio workshop when Shia, already known for his wild antics, cut off a serious discussion by joking that veteran actors were too stiff. Keanu, sitting nearby, didn't react with anger. He just stared, calm, quiet, and clearly unimpressed. A producer later revealed that Keanu whispered, "He confuses disruption with depth." That single line froze the air and marked the start of a cold, silent feud. But the real fallout came 2 years later in 2008 at a charity event. Shia showed up intoxicated, rambling loudly about fake Hollywood saints. Then, out of nowhere, he joked that Keanu was the most boring Zen robot I've ever met. The crowd chuckled, but not with joy. It was the awkward kind of laughter that creeps in when everyone senses tension. Keanu didn't laugh. He just looked at Shia and calmly said, "Cruelty is in honesty." That moment ended whatever respect was left. The room went dead silent. "It's insecurity," that's all Keanu said, and the whole room froze. The silence was thick, and everyone knew exactly who that message was meant for: Shia. Keanu turned, walked out, and that was the end of whatever connection they had left. From that night on, things were never the same. As the years rolled on, Shia's string of arrests, wild outbursts, and bizarre performance art stunts only deepened the divide. Directors whispered about his unpredictable behavior, while Keanu saw it all for what it was: not rebellion, but a refusal to take responsibility in an industry built on focus and discipline. When a major studio tried pairing them up again in 2014, Keanu didn't even need time to think. Within minutes, he declined, saying calmly, "Not a healthy environment." That short line spoke volumes, and insiders instantly knew who he meant. No greetings, no reconciliation, not even a polite nod at red carpet events. For Keanu, Shia was officially off limits, the one actor he refused to let anywhere near his world, no exceptions. And just when you think Keanu had seen it all, in comes Jared Leto, the method actor whose extreme habits could test anyone's patience. What happens when Hollywood's calmest man has to share space with someone who treats every role like a real-life survival challenge? The answer shocked even those who thought they knew Keanu's limits. Their tension didn't start with a blow-up. It started the moment Keanu heard stories from exhausted crew members who had just made it through one of Leto's intense method phases. Instead of discipline or teamwork, they described pure chaos, disturbing pranks, reports of dead animals sent to co-stars, non-stop character obsession, and random disruptive rewrites that threw entire productions into madness. Keanu didn't just dislike it. He was done tolerating it. The whole set felt tense. Everyone could sense it. Keanu understood right away what that kind of energy meant, and later he said quietly, "You can't harm people in the name of art." That single line drew an invisible boundary, one he swore never to cross. The real breaking point came during a private casting meeting in 2011. A director casually suggested pairing Keanu and Jared Leto for a dark psychological thriller, but before the idea was even finished, Keanu let out a sharp breath, shook his head, and cut it off cold. Then, in one of his rare, brutally honest moments, he said, "Chaos isn't a technique, it's a warning sign." The room went dead silent. Everyone knew exactly who he meant, and nobody dared to push the topic further. Leto didn't slow down, though. His behavior only got more extreme. Reports from sets painted the same picture. He was hurting himself for roles, sending grotesque gifts to co-stars, and preaching that pain was the key to authenticity. Instead of inspiration, his presence spread anxiety. For Keanu, that wasn't art. That was recklessness. He saw Leto not as deep, but as dangerous. By 2016, Hollywood finally caught on. Studios stopped trying to link them because every offer that had both names attached ended with the same answer: Keanu quietly saying no. No conversations, no polite hellos, not even a glance across the room at award shows. To Keanu, Jared Leto represents one thing he'll never allow near his craft again: pain disguised as creativity. And that line, once crossed by others, became Keanu's unshakable rule. Then came Val Kilmer, the ego that slammed right into Keanu's calm humility. Kilmer is the only name on Keanu Reeves' quiet blacklist whose reputation reached him before they ever even met. Everyone in the industry had the same warning: Kilmer's got talent, but he'll burn the whole room down to get what he wants. Still, Keanu didn't buy into the rumors, not until he saw it firsthand, and that moment changed everything. Their tension sparked back in the early 1990s, when both were up for similar action and drama roles. Kilmer's confidence walked in before he did, loud, sharp, and ready to challenge everyone. During auditions, he openly critiqued other actors, brushing off their performances like they were nothing. At one point, Kilmer looked over Keanu's audition tape, smirked, and said, "He's too simple. Acting requires fire, not stillness." That line hit hard, not because Keanu felt insulted, but because it revealed exactly who Kilmer was underneath all the fame. Keanu didn't respond, didn't argue. He just stored that moment quietly, like a scar that never fades. The final crack came a few years later in 1995 during a studio dinner. Kilmer suddenly snapped at a young cinematographer, furious that the lighting wasn't legendary enough for him. The room went still. People exchanged nervous glances while Keanu just watched in silence, realizing that everything he'd heard about Kilmer, every warning, was true. From that night on, respect turned into quiet distance. Keanu tried to diffuse the tension, staying calm as always, but Kilmer snapped back with, "Don't play wise monk with me." The whole room went silent. Keanu didn't get angry. He just looked at him disappointed and quietly said, "You don't belittle people. You depend on them." That moment sealed everything for him, a line drawn with no turning back. So when a major studio later pitched the idea of pairing Keanu and Kilmer in a 2004 project, Keanu didn't even hesitate. No discussion, no second thoughts. Just a firm, final no. Since then, whenever the two cross paths at events, there are no words, no nods, not even eye contact. just cold, permanent distance. Then came Sean Young, a storm all her own. She wasn't someone Keanu avoided out of anger, but out of pure exhaustion. With Baldwin, Shia, and Leto, the tension was layered and personal, but with Sean, it was survival mode. Her unpredictability was something even Keanu's patience couldn't handle. Their clash began way back in 1989, during an industry rehearsal that went completely off the rails. Sean showed up late, slammed her script on the table, and accused the director of playing favorites. In seconds, the whole room turned upside down. Keanu watched it unfold, silent and stunned, realizing just how quickly chaos could take over a space. That day planted a quiet resentment inside him, one that only grew darker over the years every time her name came up. The real shock hit in 1994 during a casting session where both Keanu and Sean Young were up for the same project. Things took a turn fast. Sean openly mocked another actress right in front of everyone, then turned to Keanu and said, "This business loves quiet boys like you. They're easy to control." The room froze. Keanu didn't argue or fire back. He simply closed his notebook, stood up, and walked out without a word. That night, he confided to someone close, "Cruelty disguised as confidence is still cruelty." It was one of the few times Keanu ever openly criticized another actor, and that one sentence said it all. Meanwhile, Sean's public troubles only spiraled. Reports of alcohol-fueled chaos, showing up uninvited to sets, clashing with directors, accusing producers of conspiracies, and turning press events into pure spectacle. Keanu saw the pattern clearly. Every project she touched became a storm nobody wanted to walk through. So when a thriller script landed on Keanu's desk in 2006, he was interested until he learned Sean Young was being considered for a supporting role. The producer tried reassuring him, saying, "She's cleaned up," but Keanu stayed calm and firm, replying, "I don't want people hurt again. No insults, no gossip. Just distance. Sharp, controlled distance." Sean Young became the kind of chaos Keanu learned to walk away from before it even reached him. But the story doesn't stop there. There was still one more name, a Hollywood favorite whose polished charm on screen hid a ruthless streak behind the scenes. This one wasn't about jealousy, ego, or style. It was about trust. And for Keanu, trust is sacred. You break it once and you're done. Their tension sparked in the early 2000s during a high-budget action workshop. The actor showed up late, sunglasses on indoors, bragging about landing roles others weren't strong enough to handle. Keanu stayed silent, but he noticed the crew exchange looks. They already knew what kind of energy had just walked in. Later that same day, during a stunt rehearsal, things got dangerous fast. The actor ignored the stunt coordinator's safety warnings, charged straight into a fight sequence, and nearly injured one of the performers. That was the moment Keanu's patience ran thin. Because recklessness wasn't edgy to him, it was disrespect. Keanu stepped forward, calm but firm, and told him, "People aren't props. Respect the team." The actor smirked, thinking it was a joke, but Keanu wasn't smiling. That moment said everything about who he was. Respectful, grounded, and unwilling to let ego cross the line. The final breaking point came 2 years later, behind closed doors, during a casting meeting for a gritty crime drama. A producer floated the idea of pairing the two actors, but another executive quickly spoke up, warning everyone about the man's on-set behavior, his habit of treating crew members like they didn't matter. Keanu stayed quiet for a moment, then calmly said, "If he's on the call sheet, I'm out." The room went completely silent. No one argued. They all knew he meant it. From that day on, Keanu made his stance clear. There were no greetings at premieres, no polite nods at award shows, and definitely no small talk at industry dinners. It wasn't hatred, it was self-protection. Keanu wasn't about to let chaos slide into his world, especially when it could hurt the people working behind the camera, the ones he respects most. By 2018, the message had fully sunk in. Studios stopped even trying to put them in the same room. Insiders said Keanu didn't have to say no anymore. Producers already knew the answer before his team picked up the phone. Now they move around each other like opposite magnets, close enough to exist in the same industry, but never close enough to collide. If this story hit you, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button to keep the stories coming. And don't forget to subscribe, because there's plenty more Hollywood truth waiting for you in the next one.